The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
We are back. Are we back?
We are back.
We are back. And
with little time to spare. The latest Marvel is fresh in theaters.
I will tell you, I saw it opening night, Thursday at 7:30.
I saw it yesterday morning, so you knew really all about it before I did. So I
did, but I kept everything to myself.
Yes.
I kept everything to myself. I didn't reveal anything. I didn't text you. I didn't tell you to sit through the end credits.
But we are going to be be revealing. So
yes,
if you haven't seen it yet,
the asterisk at the end of Thunderbolts means spoiler.
Yeah. So
lots of spoilers.
Stop listening right now. If you haven't seen it, see it and then come back.
Yes. Before we even reveal what our back end feature is, I know you're a true believer. I know you're a follower. So on this most holiest of day, because we're recording on Sunday, I just wanted to say to you and everyone else out there, may the 4th be with you.
To you as well. Now, do you have any plans of seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters?
No, I am not.
It is not retooled or anything like that, right? It is unedited.
There's no tweaking. Lucas no longer owns it. Disney has just decided to release it as is, which is fine. I mean, it's getting a lot of buzz. It's getting a lot of people going to the theater again. Kids who grew up with this movie are, who now consider Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin their Luke and Han. So
now, if I remember correctly, part of this takes place on the Wookiee home planet, correct?
Kashyyyk?
Yes.
Is that one, or is that Attack of the Clones?
I
can't even remember which one. Either way, they do visit Kashyyyk.
But this would have been a perfect opportunity for Lucas to retro in B. Arthur or Art Carney.
I think they're both
Harvey
dead.
Korman. Yeah.
I think they're both dead. All of them are dead. All 3 of them are dead.
Lucas can do it. Lucas put in Jabba to the Star Wars. He can do, I'm certain, could put in B. Arthur
we saw how fantastic he looked. Yes. So, may the 4th be with you. Actually, tomorrow is Revenge of the 5th.
Did they just not end? They're just adding a day onto it.
Yeah, listen, these are unofficial to begin with. So somebody just said, "Oh, it'd be kind of funny." So there you go. Maybe you go see Revenge of the Sith on the 5th.
Still out there.
5th.
Still in theaters.
It is. Disney used to do this all the time. Re-release these movies in theater, pull them from the shelves, lock them in a vault, and then every now and again break them back out.
It was a special.
I mean, these things are
occasion.
all over. You can just go to Disney Plus and watch these, but the theater going experience is where it's at. Speaking of which, we do have some news, but do we want to reveal what we're pairing up with this Thunderbolts Asterix movie?
Do we want to be sneaky about it?
Oh, look at you. We could have gone Ocean's 11 with
I got huge Ocean's 11 vibes.
Yeah, I will give kudos to this movie. So we are speaking about the Robert Redford vehicle Sneakers from 1992. And you're talking about a bygone era where you could just put the names on the movie poster and you'd get butts in seats. Just tell me you got Sidney Poitier, you got Dan Aykroyd, you got
for the kids, you got River Phoenix.
River Phoenix, it doesn't really have much to do with that. He doesn't have much to do in this movie.
I loved River Phoenix back in those days.
Sure.
And I made it a point to go see anything that he was in. But I think he's kind of miscast here, but we will get into it.
Yeah, we will talk about it because I think there's a reason that he actually took this role, regardless of the fact that he has nothing better to do. So he's just eye candy. is basically what it comes down to. So, but let's go a little bit news. You and I were just talking about these people going to the theater, and Regal Entertainment apparently is now rethinking some of this. How do we get these people back into the movie theater? How do we make it a more pleasurable experience for you that you can't get at home? And so they are now contemplating texting only theaters and smoking only theaters. And my question to you is, who's out there still smoking that you can't smoke a cigarette? What is this, 1965 Pan Am Airlines?
Oh, and imagine...
I know how we'll get the kids back in the theater. Let's go a smoking-only theater.
Imagine the motley crew assembled in the smoking-only theater. Oh, the screen would be yellow after two showings.
Which is once you make that a smoking theater, that's the only one. Like, don't ever put a movie in there and let me in there, because it'll be disgusting.
Then you'll smell like smoke from sitting in the seat.
Yeah. And then
I'm sure, will they give a free bottle of Topol when you leave the theater?
You think so?
Do they still make that?
I don't know. That's to make your teeth not yellow. Is that what the special toothpaste?
Whenever I'd go to my grandmother's, because she was a smoker back in those days, and she had that toothpaste, and I loved the taste of it, so I would brush my teeth with it. Yeah,
isn't Topol wasn't he in?
Yeah, he was in Fiddler on the Roof,
right? Yeah. It's Flash Gordon.
Yeah,
he was Hans Zarkov. So Regal is considering this. Whatever. If you think that that's going to somehow get people back into the theater, hey, I can text in that theater. Okay, I guess Madonna will show up. She got kicked out of an Alamo Draft House once for texting during a screening.
You go to that theater and you're like, well, how was the movie? I don't know. I was texting you the whole time. So I don't know how the movie was.
Yeah, there's nothing worse and more distracting when someone in front of you has their phone up and you can see the light from their phone. It drives me nuts. You can
text, you can talk on your phone,
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Warner is also leaning into this, because they're now, I think we talked about this, these screenings of Minecraft, where people are going nuts and getting kicked out of the theater during this chicken fight scene. And so they're leaning into it, and they're now actually screening what they call Rowdy Block Party edition. They want people to go in and be ruckus.
So yeah, they had a 12:30 lunchtime showing at my Regal of, I think it was the party edition, they're calling it.
Okay, yeah.
Of Minecraft. Which is and my son was like, can I go to see that? And
yeah. You dragged him to Thunderbolts instead. But see, that's genius. Because think about like Wicked, and they released like the sing-along version. Fine. Make it a Rocky Horror Picture Show. People get interactive with the screen. If this is what gets people into the theater, so it's a communal event again.
I'm wondering how they prepare themselves, though. The Regal, I mean, do they put plastic down? No,
I don't know. I just don't want to be that kid that has to clean up the movie theater after the fact.
I know. I hope they're not throwing soda. That would be wrong.
Oh, well, I do remember a screening of Rocky Horror Picture Show, speaking of which, in college. It went completely awry, and I think that they pulled the plug on the screening about 20 minutes in when people got up on stage and started dancing the time warp.
And the stage collapsed.
I think it was chaos. I did mention Alamo Draft House, and as a side note to this whole thing, I just saw that the employees in the Austin Alamo Draft House just voted to unionize, because the theater is looking to downsize some of their employees. So now they unionized, so they can't just be fired.
Oh,
I'm like, all right, okay, 73 employees. Congrats to you.
If they're cleaning up, our kids' popcorn, then
there you go.
They need all the benefits.
Right. What are they doing?
Right. Yeah.
You don't have projectionists anymore. You press a button. The only other news item I wanted to bring up is the fact that Ruth Buzzy passed away at 88. And probably 98% of the people listening to this podcast right now do not know who Ruth Buzzy is. But think about her true claim to fame is playing an old lady in Laugh-In from like the mid 70s and Far Out Space Nuts with Jim Neighbors on a Saturday morning cartoon. That's it. That's all I know her from.
Because of that, she is iconic to 70s kids like us.
But like that skit, that was the same skit that Laugh-In. All she was an old lady on a bench with a purse. In every skit, she just ends up beating up the person next to her. That's it.
Yeah, with the purse. Yeah.
There's nothing. Maybe Artie Johnson rides by in his little tricycle, but that was it. And that was the height of entertainment.
To me, when seeing that same lady on Far Out Space Nuts, that was like, this woman has an oeuvre, you know?
Correct. Look at her go.
Same with Jim Neighbors. That's great.
Golly, it's a Dorse, right? That was the one that was half horse, half dog.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, it was that one. I do get that confused with the Bob Denver one.
I said lunch, not launch.
Launch. That never gets old. So anyways, Ruth Buzzy 88.
Right there, show over. That's all you need.
Correct, mic drop. So Thunderbolts. On paper, this looks like a desperate attempt to just take these BC level characters and like throw them in a movie together. And be like...
To tie in loose ties of...
Right.
disparate TV shows and what have you. So for the naysayers out there, for those that say that Marvel cannot succeed because you're asking your audience to be cognizant of too much media, of too much of their content.
Yes, which Kevin Feige is now fighting back against.
Dives into that.
The genius of this movie is the fact that one of the superpowers of the bad guy helps you understand who these other characters are on a deeper level. I'm right there with you. I have not stopped thinking about this movie because I think it's genius the way that it was pulled off, and the characters interact flawlessly with it.
This movie, gives you enough of an explanation of who U.S. Agent. Though they never call him that. He's
Walker. I was going to say that's because like Yelena never really has a superhero nickname. I'm assuming she's just now the new Black Widow. But it's never really referenced. No,
it's not. But of course, you and I have watched all this stuff.
Sure.
So we're ready going into it, as ready as we could be, because, watching Winter Soldier, 2 years ago, whenever it was on. But so we have an idea. But I'm hearing that from this movie, people that haven't watched it, this is drawing them to go to that old stuff to find out about it.
Sure. Hey, I never watched that. Let me go back and check it out.
He's from Winter Soldier, that show? I'll go watch that now.
Yeah, the interesting thing is what you think about it now, which is Sebastian Stan's character, Bucky, formerly known as the Winter Soldier, and he does get called out. Like, he's been in 9. He's the old statesman now in these movies. He's been in 9.
You got that trivia piece in front of the Regal?
Yes. Yeah. And you're like, 9 movies? Like, that's more than I think Nick Fury had. Sam Jackson. Yeah, we're going to put you in every Marvel movie. This guy just keeps showing up. So his evolution, if you go back to like Winter Soldier or even Captain America, you're like, holy crap, look how far this character's come.
He's full on Terminator. He's on that motorcycle and he is leather jacket.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, right down to that Tom Cruise Mission Impossible 2 front wheel stop.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that was a great action sequence. So we're right out of the gate, we're introduced to Yelena, who we knew from. This is, for all intents and purposes, Black Widow 2. It's a sequel.
It is. And getting into this, I watched Black Widow last weekend just to be familiar. Yeah.
It's been running on FX like all weekend.
And so it is a fantastic movie. It really is. And I don't know what I gave it, but I would probably go back and give it more.
It is a really solid movie.
Yeah.
And I think this just takes it to the next level. Florence Pugh, this is her movie. This is Yelena's story arc.
Oh yeah, it starts, the movie opens with her and is basically follows her, and everybody else is kind of ancillary to her story.
Yeah, because that's like a year later after Endgame, so we know that Natasha died, and now she's reconciling the fact that her sister is dead. She really has no purpose. She's gone out of her way to basically say that she's listless. She just goes from mission to mission. She's got this void that just keeps chasing her. And this internal monologue as she's sitting on top of this world's second largest building in Malaysia, and she just walks off, and you're like,
as if she's ending it all.
Herself.
Yeah. But that's not the case, because she is like a highly trained assassin. Yeah,
that would be a short movie. No, they saved that for the Taskmaster.
Oh, man.
They did that character dirty, but we'll get there.
And now that character had so much potential, especially watching Black Widow again.
Yes. Taskmaster in the comic books was and is my favorite supervillain, because Taskmaster had the ability to replicate any superhero action move that they saw.
Now, man, she looks so damn cool.
And she even got an upgrade. She gets an upgrade of her suit from Black Widow.
So she can't mimic powers. She just mimics moves.
Yeah,
right?
like if she sees Captain America throw his shield, she can
throw the shield.
Right, correct. She sees, Hawkeye pick up the bow and shoot.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
You go. Not anymore. They should have just renamed that character Ghost.
And that is, I was really, because I'm studying the movie, because I got to the theater. First showing of the day on Saturday. The theater wasn't even open when I got there. So I'm waiting outside the doors, and I'm looking at the 3 different Thunderbolts posters that they have.
Which
Taskmaster
includes the Wheatie poster box.
All of them.
Yeah,
so
sure.
she is a fully paid member of Thunderbolts on these posters.
I will tell you that there was when I think the last trailer came out, the asterisks went from 6 spokes to 5 spokes, and so people were immediately speculating that one of them died, and I think that Taskmaster was the one that was on the chopping block, and I guess they were correct. I do want to go back to the opening sequence, though, because Florence Pugh did jump off that building.
I imagine that, she had some kind of a harness on, right?
Correct, but it could have easily been done on a soundstage. It could have been done in CG or blue screen or green screen or whatever you want to call it now. The minute she read the script, she called and hounded Kevin Feige. I want to do this. I want to do this. And there is a little featurette out there. That's like a little 4-minute YouTube or whatever. And they created this whole big harness system or whatever, but she was on top of this building and walked off it.
Multiple times, apparently, because they had to take several takes of her doing this jump.
Well, listen, she's not quite Tom Cruise yet. It's not one and done.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is probably watching this. Like,
they've got the last Mission Impossible movie in the can, and then the Academy Awards just announced that they're actually going to start honoring stunt design in the 2027 Academy Awards. So he's like, "Oh, we got to do Mission Impossible 8 now. I got to do something stupid."
So he can get an Oscar?
So he can get an Oscar.
Imagine the furor over that. If he got an Oscar over, stuntmen that are career stuntmen. Yeah,
that's going to happen. Well, I don't think it's stunt men per se. I think it's stunt designs. So it would probably be devoted to a team.
Yelena is on this building because she is on a mission from Valentina, played by...
Say that. Go ahead.
I'm not going to even attempt the full name. We'll just call her Val.
Her real name is almost as long as her character name. So it's Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Of Seinfeld fame, Elaine.
Or also Veep, which I think she actually had a longer run, but I never watched the show.
Or the neighbor from Christmas Vacation.
That is true. Margot.
But yes, so Yelena is here to blow up a lab to remove evidence so that she doesn't know what it is. So she makes it down to the lab after jumping off the top of the building. You think you'd want to be a little bit less conspicuous from being in the second tallest building in the world.
Correct, parachuting down. I guess nobody looks up in Malaysia. They're like, oh, yeah, that's
or even having the lab in that building in the first place, where the biggest tourist attraction in the country is where we have our secret lab.
That is true. Not so secret.
Things go wrong and she ends up having to blow up the whole thing. But before she gets there, we get a great overhead Daredevil type hallway fight, which looks like to be in one take to me.
Yes, they went all the way back to I think Black Widow's first reveal in Iron Man 2, and did that fight sequence just to remind you that she came out of that same system.
But she is so strong in Black Widow as well. I hate to say it, but Black Widow, that movie kind of overshadows the main character. You've got Red Guardian, you've got Yelena, two powerhouse, two pillars there.
Well, I think that's on purpose, though, because by then we already knew that Black Widow was dead. So
this is true, but it was a last hurrah for her. She never got her own movie.
But I liked it. I liked it for what it was in the sense that, it introduced us to this whole other world that we knew nothing about with her.
So much so you wanted to know what happened to Yelena at the end of that. What's her story? I want to follow her, and you get that chance here.
Yeah. In order to break into the lab, I heard her. She had to go, "My name is Yelena. My voice is my passport. Verify me." It was the worst Russian accent ever, by the way.
I don't know if she had to bring back the evidence or what she needed to get into that room for, but she just ends up blowing up the whole lab anyway.
She just blew it up. I think it was because what happens is when you're introduced to Valentina, she's in a congressional Senate being impeached. I thought we could only impeach presidents. She's CIA director. And she's being grilled about these secret operations that she's got going on. And she's quite defiant. But it's clear that she is using Yelena to cover her tracks, to get rid of all this evidence of all this secret goings-ons that she's got going.
And of course, one of the scientists in there tells her, "You don't understand what this is. This could end the world." And, Yelena's probably heard this a million times before in her line of work and doesn't really think about it.
No, she's being paid to do a job. She doesn't give a crap.
But she does take some drawings and puts them in her pocket.
Which is a nice little. It comes back around. It's like, oh, these things I got in my pocket are important. Look, it actually tells you the backstory of this other character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there are leaps in logic in every one of these movies. Stuffs them in her pocket, blows up the lab, calls in and says, "I'm done." Well, no. How about one more job?
Yep.
One more job. One last job. We've heard that before.
In the impeachment hearing of Val, they actually accuse her of trying to make her own super person, right?
Yes.
That's part of the whole argument. So they're onto her from the beginning, what she's been hiding.
And I have to wonder, how many super soldiers are out there in the MCU? Because Alexei was the Russian counterpart to Captain America. We have Steve Rogers, who was the only successful super soldier. But Bucky was the same thing, which was Hydra was trying to replicate the super soldier serum. John Walker stole that and the vial and used it to enhance himself. Isaiah Bradley, who we were introduced to in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he was the original Captain America in those Tuskegee type experiments, and he had the super serum.
But I got the impression that a lot of the people died in those experiments.
Oh yeah, no, we've seen, but I'm just saying there's a hell of a lot of people that are running around that were part of this super serum program that have this ability. Even I think the Red Skull, didn't the Red Skull take Erskine's, that's what mutated his face?
In the impeachment hearing, there's also a reference to the previous Marvel film, Brave New World.
We got a little throwaway line there.
Our former president, or our most recent president, turned into a big red rage monster, and the Avengers aren't coming to save us next time this happens.
They couldn't even call him Hulk.
No reference to Sam either. Well, Sam, one of the Avengers did.
At the end credit, you get a Sam Wilson reference, and that's only because he's going to sue them, which is a pretty funny little line.
And then she's got that iconic trailer line Val does in the impeachment hearing: "The Avengers aren't coming to save us." Right. So that was a total misdirect for me because I sit in the theater and I don't watch the trailers; I just listen. Right.
Okay.
So.
All right.
I hear that line, so I make assumptions. Okay, this movie is about Valentina bringing this team together and to fight this threat, this Loki-level threat that comes in at the end. So it will be another Avengers, and that's not what this movie is at all. So I was so pleasantly surprised to be
I think this completely defies expectations of what you're about to get.
And then poor Red Guardian, he is also shown pretty early on because of course he's Yelena's dad or fake undercover dad, but that's the only dad she knows.
Right, it's a father figure that raised her. So
and so ends, I guess, his story from Black Widow ended with him in America, and he's doing a limo service, Red Guardian limo, saving you from a boring evening,
protecting you from a boring evening. But he is the heart and soul of this movie.
And he was a Black Widow as well.
David Harbour is having so much fun with this character, and you can't.
And you have fun with the character as well.
You are just on board. So yeah, Yelena shows back up to see what he's up to, and she's like, I'm done. I'm out. And I can't do this anymore, kind of a thing. But she does this throwaway line when she first contacts Val and mentions, I want a more public facing, because she really is having a quandary on what am I doing here? What, she sees what Black Widow sacrificed herself for, in order to save the universe. And Yelena's like, I want to be a face of good. And so she does make a reference to the fact that she wants a more public facing position.
And this is where Val says, okay. And she thinks about it and says, okay, do this one more job and then we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is just, I'm just placating you. I'm just shutting you up because Val's got this. This is actually genius. So Yelena shows up at this top secret Ox facility. Yeah,
and Ox is apparently an acronym for what? I don't know, but it's Val's secret stuff. So that's where she keeps all her stuff. So we
always put top secret laboratories on the top of mountains.
Yep.
So everyone can see it from below.
Everyone can see the building from far, far away.
Where are all those helicopters going again? Yeah. Look, all those trucks going. That's top secret. Don't look. So she follows
the Skywalker
Ghost.
Ranch, right?
Oh yes, I'd break into. So she's assigned with taking out Ghost, who is sneaking in to steal something. That's what.
And Val says that Ghost is now a rogue agent who's going to steal stuff from me.
And we have not seen this character since Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, and it was a welcome return, I'll have to say. This character.
Yeah, no, I mean, she was pretty well established in that movie, her motivations and whatnot. But of course, she gets into the laboratory and immediately realizes that this whole thing is a scam because Val has hired Walker to take out Yelena, Taskmaster to take out Walker. So again,
but you'd think that at least one of them would survive this, unless it's a Reservoir Dogs deal where they all kill each other simultaneously.
Well, I mean, they're pretty evenly matched. So there's 5 of them, but one of them does not make it out.
No.
And that is Taskmaster, gun bullet to the head. Boom, she's done. She's out.
She had a good shield versus shield moment with Walker there. Yes. So they did give her a little bit to do. You even see her face for a second.
Yeah, because again, her suit's been updated. They actually went to the extent of giving this kid an updated super suit. Just to kill her off.
And
I don't even know how to say
she gets point blank in the head from Ghost because I guess Ghost is hired to kill Taskmaster.
Well, they're trying to kill each other.
And so when that happened in my theater, because my theater was for an 11 a.m. show, it was pretty full.
Yeah.
And you just heard damn when
yeah, and then you're waiting for her to pop back up. No, she's done.
I was waiting for her to come back throughout the movie. Like she can't be dead.
No, alas, poor Taskmaster, we hardly knew ye. I mean, this is a fun fight sequence. This is like, every comic book where, the superheroes have a misunderstanding and then they beat the crap out of each other until they realize that they have
it took them
good.
Much longer than I think it should have to realize what was going on.
If Bob didn't show up,
they'd still be fighting.
Yeah, here we go. And all of a sudden we've got this other,
and he just crawls out of a coffin in his pajamas.
Yeah, he's got his hospital gown still on.
He had a little sippy cup with him.
I honestly forgot that the Sentry was in this movie, and I'm like, is this Legion? Like, is this supposed to be Legion? And no, it's not. It's Robert Reynolds, Bob. And I will say, so this character came in 2000 in the comic book world. I think he was introduced in New Avengers in 2005. So that was right when I stopped reading comic books. I knew of the character. And they tweaked his origin a little bit, but he is a survivor of, like, they thought he was dead. Like he was just going to get blown up with the rest of the evidence in the lab. And he's alive.
Well, apparently it's not easy to kill this guy because he had a kill switch, which didn't work.
Power of 1,000 suns or something like that.
So is this Marvel's answer to Superman? Is the basic question?
Yes, absolutely. He is a Superman counterpart.
Right down to the S. Right down to the S.
I didn't even think of that. He's a mentally unstable Superman because you realize pretty quickly this guy has got some serious issues, and this is the problem. He's not really in control. And things go sideways, but
you don't know that this early on because he's just this hapless guy that just wakes up and doesn't know where he is.
But like even so, the one person character we didn't talk about yet is Valentina's assistant Mel, who is just doing her boss's bidding. I need this, do this.
According to Bucky, she's tactile. She can be molded because Bucky tries the charm on her because he wants to impeach Val too. And he figures the way to do that is to get to her through the assistant that knows everything.
Well, I will tell you that there is one huge Easter egg with this character, and that so her name is Mel. And one of the things on her costume, she wears this necklace that is like a bird. And a lot of people are speculating that she is, in fact, Melissa Gold, who is would be the only comic book counterpart in Thunderbolts as Songbird. And that she could very well play a larger role in subsequent. We did not see her in the end credits, which would have been interesting.
Oh, we got a heck of an end credit anyway, but we'll get there.
I will tell you that end credit was ruined if you sit through the actual credits.
Yes, you see the music.
I know.
I'm like, wait a second. I don't. Yeah. Maybe they played it, but I don't know it well enough to recognize it.
Not only that, where would they have played it? Why would they have played it? So there was a tip of the hat long before you ever get to that review. So yes, I think the genius of this character is the fact that his ability, this void that I guess is a part of him, almost like Phoenix to Jean Grey, but it allows him, like when he touches Yelena, he immediately gets drawn into one of her memories of her as a little kid in the Red Room. Is under the Black Widow program, killing one of her child mates. So you're getting these extensive backstories. You're getting deeper backstories without just flashbacks for the sake of flashbacks.
So obviously he has issues, right? Because he's in Malaysia because he's on drugs. Just so happens that Val is there in the second tallest building in the world. And he answers an ad for medical testing because he has nothing to lose.
He's a drug addict, so
he needs to get money. So that's what he does. And I guess he was the one that didn't die from the testing. So he's the only survivor.
Right? They thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a great scene after they figure out what Val has done and they have to escape. They have to go up this endless silo back to back because none of them can fly. They don't. Well, Bob, I don't even know if it would be possible for him at this point to do so, even if he knew.
Right.
But they go back to back with their feet, slowly making their way up this silo, climbing with their feet. And they get to the door. He's like, well, I don't think we thought this through. If one of us goes to the door, all the three are going to fall. But they manage.
Okay. Am I the only one who didn't immediately get vibes of Pacha and Cusco in Emperor's New Groove? When they're trying, they fell off the bridge and they're trying to make their way back up the chasm.
I never saw that, so I don't. What? Never saw it.
Stop right now and go watch Emperor's New Groove. It is genius. So, anyways, there's a sequence where the two characters have to do, and they get the same thing. They get up to the top, and they, now what do we do? Yep. Literally, they're, feet dangling.
Put on the soldier's clothes, the oldest trick in the book to get out, and they do get out.
Yeah, I think we saw that. I think Han and Luke actually did that once.
Yeah.
Yeah, dressed up as stormtroopers. We just mentioned Ocean's 11. That's exactly how they got out of the casino, dressed as the SWAT squad. So it's been done before. They do escape. And as they're trying to make their way across the desert, all of a sudden, here comes a big limousine. It is Alexei, who just happened to overhear Val talking in the back of his limousine. Yeah. So that's another very convenient
Although they do explain it away by saying that when Yelena told him she was working for Val, he made it so he could give Val a ride to maybe ask for a job himself.
Yeah.
And he overheard this conversation in a limousine.
But that all happened. That all happened. What, between the time that she was in Malaysia and
it did the next day, the very next day.
Went to Utah from Malaysia. Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, I have a guy who needs a job. Yeah, I'll get on that. In between my Senate hearings. But this is a fantastic sequence.
But before we get there, Sentry gets back into Val's custody because he goes Superman. As they're trying to escape, he creates a diversion, suddenly flies up into the air. You know, he doesn't know how he's doing it, falls back down to Earth, and Val takes him. The team is on the run without Bob.
This guy can't take a break.
So Red Guardian shows up in his limo, as you said, in the middle of the desert. Bucky shows up soon after that.
This Bucky reveal is fantastic.
It is.
Because they're quickly getting overrun by these tank trucks.
And Bucky wants to take them all into custody immediately because he thinks they're working for Val.
They're being saved by Bucky, and then he takes them out. Yep. They wake up and they're all in handcuffs and wrapped around by rebar.
Chitauri handcuffs, by the way. I think that was just Ghost. I think that was just Ghost, so she couldn't vape out.
Yeah. He came prepared.
So they actually managed to talk some sense into Bucky.
He's trying to get the lowdown on Valentina as well. Yep. So he's like, well, if I just bring these guys in, they can corroborate the fact that they've been working for her. And we'll just bring them. He just wanted to bring them to the committee.
Just from what you know of Valentina from before this movie, Falcon and Winter Soldier, from that little bit that she was in Black Widow, you know that she isn't Nick Fury. She's not a good guy. So there's something off with Valentina. She's working under the mainstream. She's working under conventional channels. And that is completely verified here, where she cares nothing about these agents that work for her. She'll kill them on a dime. She doesn't care. She just wants to, she says that she wants to protect the U.S. citizens, but she's just protecting herself throughout the movie. Yeah. And you do get a reveal because she tells Mel at one point, I'm going in to talk to Sentry. I'm going to put on my best maternal outfit to fool him into thinking that I care.
Here. Yeah.
And so he ends up touching her, and he sees her past of a little girl and her father dying. So you get, you do feel empathetic by the end of this to Valentina. A little bit, at least a little bit.
Listen, we're all flawed to a certain extent. I don't run around trying to create super soldiers.
And now that she has Sentry, she feels that she no longer has to hide because now she's actually got something that could save the world. So she's rebuilding her lab that blew up in Malaysia in Tony Stark's old building, the Avengers headquarters.
Yeah, she buys Avengers Tower, which is actually kind of cool.
It was kind of cool. She kept the bar. She kept Tony Stark's bar.
She did keep the bar. And they do make when they all convene here, and they're like, oh, a lot of cool stuff went down here. And this is where we get the big reveal of Bob went out of his way. He went to Hair Club for Men, got his coif dyed. Was it me? But I immediately got that. What was the guy in Superman Quest for Peace?
Oh, the nuclear guy,
man. The nuclear
Atom man or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I got those vibes, and I'm like, all right, this is kind of cheesy, but no, it's pretty true to the comics to suit. And like you said, complete with the little S on his belt buckle there.
Yeah, with cape and everything.
He's got the cape,
and he makes short work of the Thunderbolts.
Oh, he beats a living crap out of them. This is not even. This is Hulk versus Loki. They just get their asses handed to them. He even takes Walker's shield and bends it into a taco. Yeah. It's like he made my shield a taco.
Now, remind me, was that vibranium? That shield? Did he also have an indestructible shield?
I don't think it is. No. What he should have done is just taken Taskmaster's shield, because that was still just laying around.
He could have done like double shield duty if he did.
Correct. Yeah. Nope. Well, that right there shows you that Walker's not that smart.
Nope. And per Bob.
Which is fine. And again, you do get backstory on him. This is the genius of this character, is that you're getting these glimpses into you don't with Alexei, nor do you with Ghost But I think we got enough of Ghost backstory.
Yeah, you got enough.
Quantumania.
Yep.
That we didn't really have to. Again, like you said, if you didn't see it, I don't think you're missing it. But you do get the sense that these are all flawed characters. They're not necessarily good people. They're like misfits of science.
And once Sentry takes them out on the top floor of the former Avengers Tower, he turns on Val because he realizes...
she immediately thinks she's going to control him. And that's where, but like you said, he touches her and then all of a sudden he's getting her backstory. Yeah, he's going to have none of it. And once again, New York City just taking the brunt of all this crap.
I know.
Just set up your secret base.
So at this point, Val tries this kill switch that she's made, which doesn't work. Apparently knocks him out, but then he wakes up as the Void, which is his dark side taken over. So, and he is literally dark. He's just this black
he's just
figure.
black with little glowing eyes.
Yep. And he Peter Pans all these New York citizens. He turns them into shadow.
Oh, I always got that, like when a nuclear blast and you see like if you go back and you see like shots in Hiroshima where people's like entrails or shadows are literally burned onto walls. Like that's kind of what it is. Yeah. But they're
not killed. Unfortunately,
you don't realize that at first because you're like, this guy's just wanting destruction now. He's just,
and the first person he gets is that little girl, right? So you're shocked, first of all, that but he's just putting them all in some shadow realm, and eventually Yelena either
we only know that
out
because I don't know if she figures. I guess she does because she did get a glimpse into him as well.
They all did, right? So they all kind of know.
Yeah, it's kind of both ways, and they realize that this guy is just a mentally unstable.
So I think she has an inkling that if she goes into the darkness, she'll be able to communicate with him in some way. And if she can't, then, que sera, sera. She was bored anyway, so...
Correct, yeah. All right, this is how I'm going out. This is how I'm going out.
Yep. So she goes in, and then the whole team follows her in.
Yeah, this is interesting because she has to go through all these different rooms, and she eventually finds him, and it's just Bob, and Bob
in his own head. He's
literally in his own head. I know this is not the greatest comparison, but I got a lot of New Mutants that we covered a couple years ago. Not a well-received Marvel movie. The tone of it was a little mishmashy, whether it was horror or whatever, but I did get those, a bunch of people thrown together and they had to kind of form a team thing. And I like this sequence a lot. She's in there and she's trying to pull Bob back out. Clearly she understands that he's not in control.
Yeah.
He's just trapped in there.
And you see establishing shots of New York, and it's all being taken over.
Yeah, it's all
going into shadow.
Again, every Marvel movie, you're just, we even saw it in the Fantastic Four trailer, the Galactus shadow.
Yeah, and of course, like in every movie from this point on, it'll probably be referenced like the incident as something else, right? So because you can't ignore it.
That's right.
You can't ignore it in shows like Daredevil because that's in New York. So what was Daredevil doing?
But it was Lower Manhattan. Daredevil's up in Helltown.
Where's Kingpin while this is going on? The mayor.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Where are all these guys?
Yeah.
Where was Falcon? It does seem like it comes and goes pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, it does.
And this is a nice sequence where they're saving people from the concrete and the stuff falling.
And wouldn't you think like the entire population of New York that was shadowed would be like in the room with them too? Where are they? What rooms are they in?
Where they go? That is true because she immediately was able to walk through. So, but yeah, this is a nice reveal that the team members come in after her because they immediately think that she's dead. So at some point there, when all this is going on, realize that, all right, maybe she knows what she was doing and come in after her. And it's a nice moment. She's like, you came for me?
They in turn, they come for her. And then in turn, again, they're all there for Bob because Bob has to beat the Void himself. And so he suppresses it and then they all embrace him. So, and they're embracing each other at the same time.
Yeah, it's a nice moment. Leading up to that, though, this goings on in New York City was nice because there was two sequences, one of which Bucky picks up the car door and uses it as a shield, just like Captain America does in the first movie. And we get a Captain America Natasha style cannonball special where Alexi, was it Walker or Alexi?
I think it was Alexi.
picks up Yelena and throws her, just like in the end of Avengers where they're fighting at Chitauri. To me, this is always the Cannonball special, which was Colossus throwing Wolverine.
Right.
You know, of course, in the comics, Wolverine's like 5'2", so he's like a little smaller. Bob realizes he's got to put an end to this, and
yeah. So they all embrace him. They convince him that he's not alone, and they close their eyes in the embrace. They open them, and they're back on the street in New York.
And they're literally
so is
where
everybody
they
else.
left. And then again, we just talk about like all these conveniences, and all of a sudden, Valentina's there, and she lures them behind this tarp. So she knew they were going to show up right there.
Well, she's always planning the contingency plan, right?
Well,
that's Valentina.
She did tell Mel to assemble the press, but Manhattan is falling apart. It's just falling all over the place. People are being blown up, and I'm going to be like, oh, this girl's holding a press conference. I better go there, like, because you come behind the sheet, and all of a sudden there's like 50 reporters there.
Well, they're all there to begin. Well, maybe all they had to do was wrangle them up like cats because they're already there on the scene.
I don't know. But anyways, yes. So, boom. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Because they're about to kill her because she lures them through the curtain because they all want to strangle her.
Yeah. But this is where the asterisk comes in.
Yeah.
It's not Thunderbolts, we didn't even talk about the running gag of the Thunderbolts name was given to them by Ghost, who saw the name of her Pee-wee soccer team.
Yep, Yelena's Pee-wee soccer team when she was undercover back in the Black Widow days. And the poor girl that keeps getting referenced that had an accident on the field. She'll probably never live that down.
It happens.
Come through the curtain there. The press is all snapping away. I'd like to introduce to you the new Avengers.
Yes.
Yeah, how's that going to work? You don't put new in front of anything and it works. That's like, you ever hear the New Monkeys? No.
So, they had a solid 6-issue run episode.
But it's the new Avengers. And then, boom, cut to credits almost immediately after that. And I was thinking to myself, because going in, I always look to see what these run times are. Yeah. Like, oh, this is over 2 hours. We're going to be hunkered down for a while.
2 hours, 6 minutes.
I was like, it's over already? It felt I was in there for 90 minutes, which is what you want from a long movie.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was 2 hours plus.
Yeah, and it's not all fight sequences. It's not all chatty. It's a nice pace.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
You get all these newspaper headings.
That's actually a lot of fun, right? Because across the world, people are like, oh, it's the B-Vengers, not the A-Vengers.
And my favorite was not my Avengers.
Yes, correct. Right. Which I'm sure somebody picked up and put on their headline for this review.
Right.
But this is also where you get Alexi in the grocery store trying to convince this lady to buy a box of Wheaties because they're on the box. Because
he references it earlier in the movie. We could be a team. We could be on the box of Wheaties.
Yeah, he's the first one excited for this new Avengers moniker. He's like, yes.
So he just hangs out in the grocery store when people go down the cereal aisle?
Probably. Yeah. Oh, we actually have a cereal box tie-in for the second movie, too.
Nothing's going to stop us now by the Starship?
Starship. And that goes through the credits, yeah.
Yeah.
We do get that. So during this whole reveal, Yelena does lean into Valentina and said, like, we own you now. So we are running this show from now on. You're done effing with us. But again, like I said, we don't get any resolution on this impeachment of what happens to Valentina.
Yeah, we assume that it goes away because now she can claim that she saved the city, even though she caused everything that happened in the first place.
All it would take is all them going, no, she had nothing to do with this. If anything, she was the cause of it.
But I think that they just very materialistically may want her to bankrupt because it's her building. It's not their building.
Yeah. I mean, it was still under construction. I don't know. Yeah. So anyways, right. Because we do cut 14 months later and they are.
And it seems like they don't do much. They're just hanging around,
I would think just like Ghostbusters, you're just waiting for someone to call you. Be like, there's a cat stuck in a tree. Fine, Alexi.
But Yelena is saying that there's some space emergency that they're not cluing them in on. So it's like the rest of the heroes at large don't really take them seriously. I don't know.
Well, no, because you also get a throwaway line that Sam Wilson has contacted them, and he's copyrighted the name Avengers, because at the end of Brave New World, he's talking about bringing the Avengers back, building the Avengers. So he's probably got his own Avengers.
Yeah. And so
listen, don't forget,
Alexi...
we had a West Coast Avengers. We had a Great Lakes Avengers. There's a lot of Avenger groups. You can't all be stationed in New York City and expect to cover the world.
And Alexi comes in with this full body jumpsuit, and he's got like a Z sticker over the S on the Avengers, like problem solved for copyright. Right. Avengers.
And he's got all the sponsorship like a NASCAR truck. He goes, I got one for all of you. It's like, yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Bucky did get an upgrade. Bucky had a nice new suit.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Bob. So Bob just hangs out there. Clearly, he doesn't remember. Like at the end of this whole thing, like he was like, what am I doing in New York? I don't remember any of this. Like he's clueless of what just happened.
But he does know, because he says to them, there can't be Sentry without the other guy, he says.
Right. This is like Bruce Banner with the Hulk, but
yeah,
you never want to call Sentry into combat.
So I'm sure he has the big moment in Doomsday or whatever, coming up. He's got to.
So the one thing I did read, which is this jump 14 months, like they filmed this, the Russo brothers filmed this scene on the set of Doomsday, because they are already filming that.
So and they're all there, I'm sure.
This is the new Avengers headquarters. And they've all got nice little upgrades in their suits. There is a cosmic threat that's bandied about. And then all of a sudden we've got incoming, and we run to the monitor.
We've got an interdimensional crisis. So that is like, just a given, that whole phrase, interdimensional. Now everybody knows what that means. So this ship is coming in from another dimension, and they're looking at it. There's footage of it on their tablet, and the ship is like flying in space, and it turns, and you see the 4 emblem on the side. People in my theater lost their minds when they saw
they didn't see this coming. Like you said, you sit through the credits, and if you pay attention, you do see that musical score theme, Fantastic Four, First Steps, and you're like, wait a minute, but we all know where this is going. This is the last movie in Phase 5.
It is. But I have to say that I didn't get that feeling from an audience watching a Marvel movie since the old days, Avengers.
This is huge.
Where everybody was going nuts. They were completely into it in the theater.
Yeah, sure. No, this is like at the end of the Marvels, where you see Hank McCoy, you see the Beast.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, they're doing it.
But even, those scenes were just like, there's silence in the theater. Nobody's screaming out loud to see Frank McCoy.
I also think that there's probably people going, I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah.
You just saw the Fantastic Four trailer at the beginning of this movie.
Yep.
Still not a big fan of Thing's voice, but whatever. That's a nitpicking right now. I've seen people go, "This is gonna suck," and I'm like, "Can we just watch the movie before you judge?"
Everybody's like, "Oh, Pedro Pascal's on that ship."
Pedro Pascal, he is everywhere. Well, not everywhere anymore.
Not everywhere anymore.
Oh,
Spoiler alert!
We'll talk about that.
Spoiler alert!
So I did read. So Kevin Feige did an interview, and he was talking about the fact that he has a 10-year plan to bring the X-Men back into the MCU. Like, so you're not going to get just all of them dumped. Although if you've seen teaser videos of the lineup for this Avengers Doomsday, you'll see there's a lot of familiar names. If you
I hope
watch
this guy
eats
movies. An apple a day and goes to see his doctor, because we can't have him dropping in the next 10 years.
No, but the other thing is that he said that he wants these movies to be a little more standalone, so that people don't need to watch 30 movies in order to understand it. And while I do get that, the whole, like, we read comic books as you could read, we've talked about this numerous times. You could read the Fantastic Four. Spider-Man would come in and he would reference, beating up the lizard. And there would be a little editorial note with an asterisk saying, oh, you want to find out more about the Spidey's adventures beating the lizard? Check out Amazing Spider-Man number 256.
Yep.
And if you wanted to, you went back and you read it. Like you said, people are interested now in these characters. Maybe I should go back and watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I never saw Loki 2. I do see, like I said, I was flipping channels last night. I'm probably one of the few people on the planet that still has cable. And I think it's FX. They're doing Marvel movie Fridays. And I'm like, wouldn't that be Marvel movie Mondays? Why would you not pick Monday?
Well, all the kids are off from school on Saturday. They can watch it on Friday night. They can't watch it on Monday night.
They're all there on Disney.
Yeah, this is
so anyways, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was far beyond my expectations. I enjoyed it. Alexi kills it. Yelena is the star of this movie. Florence Pugh kills this movie.
Yeah, I do have to say,
I am very, very upset about. But
I read why. There is justification behind this, because that was the first thing. I'm like, what is the deal? I'm on my phone after the movie. What is the deal with Taskmaster? So they're like, they had to raise the stakes somehow. This wasn't initially supposed to happen. I don't know if the character was always meant for the chopping block, but it wasn't initially right up front at the beginning of the movie. They wanted to throw audiences off and make them think that anybody was expendable. Yes.
Okay. Then they should have just named it The Expendables. They could have easily just gotten rid of Ghost as well.
I think Ghost had more character than
I agree
Taskmaster.
with you. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think there's too many characters going on. So they're like, this is like the decision. I don't think Obi-Wan was supposed to die in your first Star Wars either. It was Marshall Lucas who was like, it would be more important if this guy just died. That would be more meaningful. Here we are talking about Taskmaster.
Yeah.
So I like this a lot. I thought this worked way better than it had any right to be. And they utilized the Void exactly the way it should be to exploit and show you more about these characters.
And again, I can't say enough about how trivial it may seem, but the fact, again, that this thing was 2 hours plus and it didn't feel like it at all is a ringing endorsement. I loved it. This was, again, hearkening back to like phase 1, where the sense of wonder for me is back of seeing these characters on screen. This is the way I think that they need to go and to recapture some of that old flavor.
I agree. I don't even know who this director is. Beef, which I've heard of, but I've never seen it.
Okay, so I've seen that. That was Stephen
Schreier?
Stephen Yeun was in Beef, and he was actually
supposed
originally
to be
Sentry.
I wonder how that would have pulled off, though. Now that I've seen this guy, I'm like, would have been Stephen Yeun, and I don't know. I mean, I guess he was hired for a reason, but I'll never know now.
That's Lewis Pullman, Bill Pullman's son.
Oh, get out of here! I didn't realize that. I do know the name. But this screenplay was written by Eric Pearson and Joanna Kalo, who between the two of them co-wrote Thor Ragnarok and Black Widow. So that makes perfect sense to take these characters to the next stage here.
But no, I loved it. I thought it was great.
No, I enjoyed it immensely. And I am seeing, I'm on a fair amount of comic book groups and Facebook. And for the most part, people are lauding it. And then, of course, someone's got to come in and poop in your Cheerios and be like, oh, everyone was pushing this up. And so I got all hyped and I went and it sucked. Oh, okay.
You suck.
Yeah, correct. That it just devolves into you're an idiot. You're a moron. Anyways.
But no, I'm invested in the team now. I want to see more of the new Avengers.
Yeah, because you want to see them now interact with some of these top tier characters and be like, I'm not taking you seriously. You took my tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. You stole my name. Yeah. Sam's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And how is he going to interact with Bucky? Like, really? You're hanging out with these guys? Come on.
It's like almost like they're the new Guardians of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. Yeah. Same vibes. You want to go buckets right now? I'm going to give it 4 1/4.
I'm going to go 4. Solid 4.
Okay. I enjoyed it.
Yes. Great movie.
I would like to see it again, to be honest with you, and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I'll definitely see it again.
Yeah. So
almost saw it on IMAX, and I kind of wish I did, but because it's playing at that Danbury IMAX that we've gone to together on a few occasions, but just couldn't get there.
If you, for whatever reason, sat through this whole review and haven't seen it yet, go see it. or go see it again.
Go see it again.
I've heard different numbers about opening weekend.
They're looking
Whether they
at it
consider
making,
it's-
the forecast is that it would make around 75 million
Yeah.
on its opening weekend, which is about what Shang-Chi did on its opening weekend, which was, a success. So
Another good movie.
yeah, another great movie, Shang-Chi. I want to watch that again. I haven't seen that in a while.
I know. Yeah. I do want to go back and rewatch Black Widow now. So maybe I'll do that.
It seems like we're getting spoiled though. Again, there's a dearth, and then for Marvel, and then all of a sudden there's all these movies coming out within months of each other.
That is another thing that they're talking about, is backing it up to maybe one movie a year and 1 to 2 live action TV shows.
Because
Like we still haven't seen Ironheart.
I know if that's even coming still.
It's
or
in
not.
Cannes, from what I understand. It's actually part of Phase 5, which is so Fantastic Four coming right up on the heels. We just talked about
in
it.
July.
In July, we are launching right into Phase 6.
Yeah,
So,
and then next year, Doomsday.
Yeah. Doomsday.
So we didn't get to talk about trailers before we go to the concession stand here. So I just wanted to mention some. This is the first time I've seen the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer. Looks very good. I'm on board with this. It looks like an alien dinosaur that they've got gestating there. Have you seen this trailer? Did you get this trailer?
Is that your takeaway?
It is.
I have seen it before, but I did not see it at the beginning of this movie. There was rumors years ago that there was a story screenwrite pitch in development where they were going to be dinosaur human hybrids that's where I thought they were going with this.
Well, from what I understand,
picking up more of an alien vibe.
Well, it's not like alien like from space, but it looks like a cross between a dinosaur and a xenomorph. And apparently it is a mutated dinosaur, a genetically mutated dinosaur.
Well, I think at this point you have to do nothing but mutate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also get the Tron Ares. If you saw that before this.
Yeah,
Gillian Anderson, right? Scully is in this.
Scully is in it, as is Jared Leto.
Yeah.
So you got the yin and yang going on there. But that looks solid. That looks good.
Did we really want though a sequel to Now You See Me?
This is the third one.
It's the third one.
Yeah.
You had Jesse Eisenberg playing cool just does not work for me.
Again,
is
that
he
was
supposed to
also
be
playing
cool
on cable. I think he is supposed to be cool. Jesse
not
Eisenberg
cool.
is cool.
He's
What?
not cool.
He's so nerdy. He's cool.
Tell that to Michael Cera. Tell that to Michael Cera.
I will take Michael Cera over Jesse Eisenberg. Wait, they're not the same person?
I just figured that out myself that they're not.
It took 3 movies for them to then, like, the second one is just Now You See Me 2.
Oh.
Now you see me again. Now you don't. It's like you couldn't have come up with that with the second one. No. I just hope that it's executive produced by Chris Angel and the guy who made the Statue of Liberty disappear.
David Blaine.
He disappeared.
Executive produced by David Copperfield.
There you go. Yeah. So, all right. I am hungry. What do you got at the concession?
Well, I have nothing for you to eat. I have something for you to drink.
Wow. What? Really?
I think this will get you through because this would get most people through most anything.
Okay.
Now, I was going again for a theme.
Yep.
So I'm looking at the title of our movie, Sneakers. Do they have any foot-related candy? Oh. I could not figure out any. So I put sneakers to the side. Okay, Thunderbolts. What do we have here? What comes with thunder? Lightning. Rain. Do we have anything that I could speak of that has that theming to it? Suddenly it dawned on me. Jolt Cola, yes.
Oh, look at you, Jolt. I don't think I've ever had a Jolt in my life.
I think I've tasted it back in the 80s.
You're probably still tasting it.
Extremely sweet, I will give it that. And it does have all the sugar, twice the caffeine. That was the marketing.
That was its marketing.
It was. Interesting history. Gay Mullins, a retired research associate at the University of Washington Medical School. He was involved somehow or way with the taste testing of New Coke back in the mid-'80s.
Ooh, 80s. New Coke.
That iconic time when Coke shut down their tried and true formula and came up with New Coke for a new generation.
How did that work out for them?
Didn't work out well.
No,
I liked New Coke. I'm in the minority.
Genius, just to get people to start drinking a regular Coke again.
And
it's
it was no
longer
something
really crappy that you're gonna miss the days of drinking our old stuff.
It was no longer Coca-Cola. It was just Coke on the cans. I don't even know if bottles existed in the 80s. I think they went full can, and then bottles made a comeback a little bit later. But I just remember that Coke, on the can, and I actually liked it. It existed. Maybe we'll do a New Coke episode for Concession Stand, but I want to say maybe for 5 or 6 years it was there concurrently with the classic, and then it slowly
just disappeared,
phased out.
Right up there with Pepsi Free.
But this guy, this former professor from University of Washington, he was retired, so he didn't have much better to do. He was very vocal about his dislike of New Coke. Now, what would make him an expert, I don't know. Yeah. But he started the Old Cola Drinkers of America. So he was getting petitions signed against New Coke to bring back Old Coke. He got more than 100,000 members, signatures, whatever it was. And he boasts that
Did he go door to door?
Because
this was pre-internet.
This was pre-internet.
You can't just sign a petition.
But he boasts that this movement persuaded Coca-Cola to bring back the old formula as Coke Classic. But he still wasn't happy. Once Coca-Cola Classic came back, they started to sweeten it, not with real sugar, but high fructose corn syrup.
Not cocaine.
Now this guy, this Mullins, is a soda purist, obviously, because he rallied against New Coke. He was not happy with this change from sugar to high fructose corn syrup. So he got on the wagon of a smaller upstart soda in 1986 that had real sugar, that he enjoyed much more than Coke. So he started to promote Jolt Cola. So he didn't found it, but it was with his help and his influence that it became the name that it did. Jolt Cola itself was invented by the Raps, R-A-P-P, Dad Joseph and son CJ.
They missed an opportunity to just call it Rap Soda.
So this was in the works with them since the late 70s. I guess the father owned a bottling plant. He also figured himself as a soda purist, did the senior rap. And going to these conventions that were attended by the bigwigs of Pepsi and Coke, he saw the new products coming out over the years. That, we're taking out the caffeine, we're taking out the sugar, we're trying to make it more healthy. One that they saw especially was from 7-Up, and they were calling it like cola, but it had less caffeine and less sugar. And he's like, why don't I make something, but put it all back in and then some?
Then some.
So that's what he did. Jolt Cola was born. I guess they started working on it in 1985 around the whole New Coke controversy, and it was finally on shelves in 1986, and that's when this other guy, Mullins, came out and started to endorse it. The other thing about Jolt Cola that set themselves apart from the rest of the pack is that your normal distribution channels were pretty much taken over by the big guys, Coke and Pepsi. They kind of owned all the bottler facilities. Sure. So the Raps went to beer distributors. So they got their Jolts bottled by the same people that bottled your Budweiser and your Miller Lite. So there was already this naughty kind of connotation. So that even made it naughtier, right? That Jolt had all this stuff in it. And not only that, it came from the same world as your alcohol does. Now, how much did Jolt actually differ from your normal soda, your Coke or your Pepsi? About double the caffeine. 10 teaspoons of sugar in each can of Jolt, and 5.9 milligrams of caffeine, which literally is twice the caffeine that
Wow.
you had in Coke or Pepsi.
Right.
Cap by the FDA in a soft drink is 6. They're right under it at 5.9. Jolt was immediately a sensationalist hit out of the box in 1986. So you say you've never tried it?
No, I don't think I've ever had Jolt.
Again, I did, and I just remember the overwhelming sweetness of the thing. So I was never a fan of it, but I was
all that
really
sugar.
I loved the logo. The can was a little bit longer. It wasn't as stout and fat as a Coke can, but it had those stripes on it, and it had that lightning bolts insignia right through the O of Jolt Cola. There was an argument that, well, it's nowhere near the caffeine content of a cup of coffee, which is true. A cup of coffee has 31 milligrams of caffeine.
Ooh, really?
So when parents started to rally against it, saying that my kids should not be drinking this much caffeine, hey, it's not as much as coffee. Not that kids are drinking coffee, but I don't know what.
They're just shaming the parents.
Yep.
Look
And
what you're drinking.
or one of the raps was like, well, my 2-year-old drinks it, and I'm quite happy with that.
How's that kid doing today?
Yeah. Over the years, the luster of Jolt, it was kind of like a sensationalist thing back then, so it didn't last long. It burned out pretty quickly, the popularity of Jolt. So Red Bull was introduced in 1987. So that's not a soft drink. That's an energy drink. So if you're looking to get like a boost from something, people started to turn to that type of product.
Sure, a Monster as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it had its window, and then it kind of faded over time, but it never went away. Jolt existed onwards up until 2006. And that's when they figured, I don't know why they didn't do this earlier. Well, maybe we should change things up a little bit with Jolt. I don't know if they were satisfied with their dwindling sales. But in 2006, they changed the can to make it look like a battery. So they had like a little,
Oh my.
like, for lack of a better term, nipple on the top, like a battery does.
So you could actually stick your tongue on it and it tasted like copper? Like a
Well, they probably did, yes, if anybody tried that, but it would crack open, and that was the twist cap on the can.
Oh, gotcha. That's
These-
fun that I know the taste of a battery more so than the taste of Jolt.
Yeah. These cans cost so much to produce
Oh, to
that Jolt
manufacture.
eventually had to be, the company was sold after they lost money on this venture,
Oh,
on
that
these cans.
sucks. Because that's actually pretty genius. You should just make it look like a car battery.
The can was pretty cool.
Comes with
Now
jumper
that I'm looking
cables.
at a picture of it. The company got bought out in the 2000s.
By Coke or Pepsi?
No, by some other,
Oh,
small business. And there was eventually a lawsuit between the inventors, the Raps, and the business that bought them out. So a few years later, it resurfaced in Dollar Generals in 2017. And that's kind of, I think, a happy marriage. That's where you'd expect to find your Jolt
so
Cola.
is it like those Arizona iced teas? You can just get one for like 99 cents now.
Yeah. And if you go into a Dollar General, they probably are
I gotta
like
look for
cans
them
from
now.
1986.
You check the expiration date before you purchase.
But that was only briefly. They only resurfaced in Dollar Generals for like a year in 2017, and then they went away again. Redcon, which is a company that makes energy drinks, bought the name just last year. So they are putting out an energy drink called Jolt. And it will contain the Jolt branding.
Interesting. You might get a whole big resurgence. You might get people who remember Jolt fondly as a kid.
But it's not cola. It's an energy drink.
No, but it's enough of like you get good brand recognition. Like you're not drinking it for the cola taste. You're drinking it for the extra sugar and the yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and when
That's actually pretty smart.
during Jolt's heyday in the 80s, they were marketing towards college students who were
Yeah.
cramming for exams. So
There you go. Which is exactly where Red Bull and Monster drinks got their footing.
yeah.
Cater to those people that are burning the candle at both ends. I have drivers that drink that stuff all day long.
Energy drinks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
It
I'd be
tastes like
bouncing I get a second cup of coffee and I'm bouncing off.
It tastes terrible to me. I've tried Red Bull and I can't take it. It's got to be
vodka to it.
Very
You're
acquired
not doing
taste.
Right.
No. All right. Sometimes we need that jolt of caffeine on this show recording to get through 2 movies.
I hear you. I watched this movie so long ago.
I've never, and again, I was a River Phoenix fan, so I tended to seek out any movie he was in. This was the first time I've seen this.
I can't believe this.
Yeah.
I saw this in the theater, 1992. Sneakers. Like I said, back in the day where all it took was a bunch of names on a marquee with a little, like if you look at the movie poster on our graphic, it's just a little, the little, it's all white with just all their names. And then there's a little corner lifted up with all their faces on it.
Yep. And it says, we would tell you what this movie was about, but we'd have to kill you.
Yeah.
So you think, okay, it's got to be about like some kind of espionage thing, but that's really the only clue that you got.
And so, after we tell you about this, we're going to have to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So again, spoilers. If you haven't seen this,
but they don't really kill people. So
movie.
it's a little bit misleading because they don't really kill people. But there you go.
No, they just incarcerate them and brainwash them into doing your biddings.
But again, I'd never seen it before, so I didn't know what was it was about.
I'll be intrigued to see what you think.
The opening of this thing is pretty cool because it gives you scrambled up words and then unscrambles them so you read the producers.
Somebody saw this and said, I want to make a game out of this called Wordle. Yeah, this is like anagram. This is actually, pre-Matrix where you get this type of a graphic and upfront. It's fun. So like Universal Studios starts out as a turnip curses Elvis. And then each of their names is scrambled. And then and then actually it's a plot point later in the movie.
Yeah. Because when the plot point comes up, I'm like,
just like the title.
Just like the
sequence.
titles. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a nice little symbiotic energy to it. Robert Redford is our main character, although we're introduced to him as a teenager in college.
Yep.
And this kid's just wearing a really bad Robert Redford wig.
With a thick Robert Redford 70s mustache as well.
Yeah, well, you can't, yeah. And his friend Cosmo.
So it's obviously different actors that are playing these older versions later. Yeah,
because it starts out in 1969.
Yeah, and today we just use the same actors and digitally make them younger. So yeah, it's kind of hard to buy that these two eventually become Robert Redford and Ben Kingsley.
It's him because he's still wearing the same varsity jacket 35 years later. You're undercover. You're actually in seclusion, and you were just wearing the same clothes that they chased you down with, and whatever.
Never changed.
So yeah, you're introduced to these two characters, Martin and Cosmo. And they are what we would refer to as hackers, black hatters. If you watch the special features on the DVD, these were like these cyberpunk kids back in the day that we didn't have you didn't have a computer in your room in 1969.
But they somehow had one at this school that they were attending.
And they were breaking into a federal, the reserve bank account, and they were draining Nixon's account and funding the Black Panthers.
It was like Robin Hood, taken from these big.
Well, now we know where Wakanda got all their money from. And they gave it all to the Black Panthers. Martin goes out for pizza, and the feds move in. And he leaves his buddy high and dry.
Well, what is he going to do? Come back and get arrested along with him?
I get it, but yeah. So now it's not
like he can beat up the feds and rescue him.
Now he's apparently on the run. He leaves his buddy Cosmo to take the rap. Cosmo clearly doesn't rat him out, which is interesting. But there is a Easter egg here.
No, I think he did because he had to change his name. He was
I thought that they was had to do that anyways.
I thought they knew who he was.
Well, there's some question on whether or not who knew what, because there was another Senator Gregory that he was friends with, and he clearly knew who he used to be, what his old name was. But during this sequence, when he leaves to go to get pizza, there's an Easter egg. If you look up, you can see Doc Brown hanging off the clock tower.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. It's
Well,
it's the same. It's the Hill Valley Clock Tower. It's the
that's
center
used in a
of
million
Universal
movies.
Studios that they filmed.
I was
It
going to
is.
say
It
that would
is
be that would be brilliant if that was the case.
1969. He's just been hanging around there
Yeah.
since 1955. Marty, get me down.
Now we get introduced to the gang, the sneakers gang, and it looks like they're just doing they're a crew robbing a bank. That's what it appears to be. Okay, now Robert Redford is all grown up and he's a criminal. He's robbing banks.
Actually, he works for Doge now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hacker caper. It's a high tech hacker, which I don't even know if people knew what hackers were back then. 92, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, this is even before Dennis Nedry, also a drinker of Jolt.
It's true. Wow, there you go. It's all coming full circle.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yes. So it looks like he's breaking in and he's stealing money. Yeah. Like I said, still wearing the same varsity jacket. So kudos for you.
So, but it's revealed after they're successful that they're hired to do this, to break into companies and try to subvert their security to see if they can, to see where they can advise the company as to where they're going wrong. So they actually get paid to break into places.
It's actually a pretty good business model, to be honest with you. What are you good at? Well, I don't know. I broke into a Federal Reserve when I was a kid.
Oh,
can I make money doing that? Well,
yeah,
you can be the villain or you can be a good guy and we just pay you. And I'm sure that there's companies out there that, go ahead, try and break through our firewalls.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, 92, this is really on the cutting edge of like before computers became commonplace, where everyone had one on their desktop. Everyone had a computer. Like Cosmo gives a speech later in this movie. And he's like, yeah, you're like 30 years ahead of your time here when you're talking about, little zeros and ones who rule the world. And you can't, again, Robert Redford was the height of his career.
Yeah, this was right around Indecent Proposal, right? This was also
Indecent
in the
Proposal.
Same time.
It's funny because throughout this movie, I kept waiting to hear Love Touch by Rod Stewart. And I'm like, oh, no, that was Legal Eagles.
River Runs Through It, right?
River Runs Through It. But yeah, no, Legal Eagles came out probably around the same time. But yeah, I mean, Robert Redford, likable guy, man. Good looking guy, affable. And again, all you got to do is slap his name on the front of the poster. And I'm like, I was a kid in college. Well, no, I was out of college by then. I was like, yeah, I'll go see that Robert Redford movie.
You know who
Dan
doesn't like him?
in there, Sidney Poitier.
You know who doesn't like Robert Redford? These two NSA
Ben
agents.
Kingsley.
Yeah.
Yeah, they NSA agents?
Well, they're working for Ben Kingsley. They're working.
They identify themselves
of
as
course,
NSA.
you have this opening scene like, well, that guy's going to be coming back later in the movie. This
there's
guy
a couple
that got
callbacks
arrested.
where you're like, all right, that's going to come back. So you're right then. So clearly Cosmo was pulling the strings on this whole thing, and these two guys, Dick Gordon and Buddy Wallace. One of them, Timothy Busfeld. So Timothy Busfeld was on 30-something from 1987 to 1991.
Oh, that's where I recognize.
So yeah, the redhead with the beard. So he was a pretty well-known and established TV actor before showing up here as a pseudo NSA agent.
Gotcha.
So, but they pull him aside and basically say, listen, we know who you are. You really are, Mr. Bryce. I'm like, that would have been a fun reveal if he just turned out to be Sundance. Like he had somehow survived. I used to rob stagecoaches, dude.
Yeah.
No, I'm robbing banks or using computers. Yeah.
No, they want him to investigate a mathematician that got a grant of like $380,000, and they want to know what he's doing with it. If the money came from Russia, if he doesn't do it, they're going to arrest him. If he does do it,
if it comes from Russia, it can't be good, right? Like Russia was the bad guys.
If he does do it, they get paid $175,000, and everybody loses their mind over that. But there's like 5 of them.
Did you crunch the numbers on this? Are you ready for this? So $175,000 divided by 5 is $35,000
each.
Now, Factor in inflation in 1992, $35,000 is the equivalent of $80,000 today. And the national average annual income in 1992 was $25,000. So you're talking maybe 3 years salary at best. But you're right. These guys are they're like Ocean's 11 level. Like, I'm going to go and buy a yacht and live the rest of my life in the Caribbean. It's like, that not going to last you very long.
Redford should have been like, you know what I want? $1 million.
Yeah, no, he's very happy with 170. You're right, though. There's 5 of them. You got to split this between 5. It's like, hey, guys, I got a job. It's like, what? It's not even going to pay the Chinese food bill. So, yeah. So, C-Tech, this guy's a C-Tech astrophysicist.
And he is Jimmy the cab driver from MTV, Donal Logue.
Oh, no, I think he was Harvey Bullock from Gotham.
Yes, he was, but I know him as Jimmy.
Jimmy from what?
The Jimmy the cab driver from MTV. In the 80s, he was on those MTV little station identifications that they would have, and he was this character, really? Jimmy the cab driver.
I don't remember that at all. Okay. He's got the long hair. He's like a rock star astrophysicist.
Yeah. So then the team sets up like a rear window set up so they can watch him in his office, and a lady comes in and shows her tatas, and they all are fighting to watch through.
All they're trying to do is get his password. They want this lady out of the way.
Yeah.
So, but so let's talk about the team a little bit, because it's this weird mix, and we're told later that they're all convicted criminals and that they've all got a second chance doing this job. But you have Dan Aykroyd, who is Mother, and he's just nothing like everything out of his mouth is a conspiracy theory. Everything about the fake moon landing to, cow flatulence, and he's got all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
And this is a year before X-Files, by the way.
So Dan Aykroyd, who co-wrote Ghostbusters, actually has his own show, probably on Travel Channel or History Channel. Like he is obsessed with the paranormal and like the occult and all those conspiracy theory things. That's why he wrote Ghostbusters to begin with. And he now has a show that delves into this stuff. I would love to have dinner with this guy. Like, you would have to just shake your head. Like, the minute he went into that flat earth theory, I would have to shut him down.
If you do ever, tell me, and I'll give you my Blues Brothers album so he can sign it.
Okay. It just seems like a guy that you'd want to hang out with.
It does. He does seem that way, yeah.
So, but you have Kreese, who is Sidney Poitier. He's ex-CIA. You have Carl, who we mentioned before, which is River Phoenix, who was coming off My Own Private Idaho. And I think the reason he took this was because that was so mentally taxing for him. He just wanted a paycheck. Like we said, we mentioned at the top of the show, he really doesn't have much to do in here.
No, and he's supposed to play this really kind of awkward computer nerd.
Yeah,
you're thinking to yourself, this guy is in no way, shape, or form could be misconstrued as an awkward computer nerd. So I'm thinking like Eddie Deason should have been in this part.
Oh my, that would have been perfect. Like, he just annoys everybody. It's like, why is this guy on our team? Yeah,
or what was the guy from Revenge of the Nerds? Robert Carradine, the head guy.
Yes. But then we also have Whistler, who is David Strathairn, and he is blind, and we're introduced to him reading Playboy in Braille.
Does that exist?
I don't know. I've never. That's a good question. Apparently he only buys the magazine for the stories, for the articles.
You'd have to, right?
You'd have to. Some Braille foldouts. Like, I can feel it. Yeah.
Well, you could, they could describe, I guess, in Braille what the centerfold looks like.
That is true. Lady, naked. Huh. That's like last issue.
Hello, ladies.
Then we're also introduced to Liz, who is President Rosalind from Galactica.
Yes.
Or I guess if you want to go down my wife's interest, she was also in Dancing with Wolves.
She was also at Independence Day, was she not?
What's that?
Independence Day, was she not?
Oh, that's right. She was the first lady. You are correct, Mary McDonnell. I drew a blank on her name. So, Yes.
She's not really part of the team. Well, she is by the end, but
Well,
she's like the ex-wife or the
Well,
ex-girlfriend.
what happens was, I think that she had a prior relationship with Martin, and he brings her in because he needs her help. You know, she's like an honorary member. She has to. So now you're actually sharing that money with 6 people. That's making it even less.
But she didn't want anything. Maybe she's just happy to be there. She didn't want anything at the end.
She could have gone to prison for a very long time. I would have asked for something at the back end. So, but yes, this Janik is a very pompous ass mathematician. Very full of himself. And as you said, all they're trying to do is figure out his password by looking through a window, and the naughty housewife from next door comes in, and the coworker is throwing herself at him. So,
right. But they eventually do get into the office, and what they have to pick up is in like a fake shell of an answering machine.
So clearly they're watching, they're looking, they're surveilling this office, and they didn't figure out that he has a digital door lock. Like he's practicing picking locks like a regular door lock, and then he gets there and it's like a keypad.
But you can't see that from where you're looking.
You would see it on the backside, would you not? I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking this. But anyways, it's a great sequence because you see him in front of the door going, "What the hell do I do now?" And you don't hear what's in his earpiece, but he's like, yep, okay, all right, that might work. And then he just kicks the door in, and I'm like, all right, that's kind of funny. So he kicks the door in. They take the tape recorder,
the answering machine.
Answer machine. So they get this box, and what's in it? It's like they don't know what it is.
So of course they've got to. The curiosity gets the best of them, so they're investigating it, and they realize
all they're supposed to do is just hand it off to these 2 guys.
Yep.
But no, they have to put their nose into it and dig around and figure it out. And lo and behold, it's some encryption thing.
It's some like skeleton key to get into like every major secret file through a computer backdoor.
It's not just a code breaker. It is the code breaker.
Right. So it's exactly what Marty used to do with the other guy at the beginning of the movie, like to break into people's, computers and steal money. That's basically what they can do.
Right. And this is where that opening credits where the anagram comes into play, because they're playing Scrabble and there's a code CTAC astronomy. And so then they re-scramble the words too many secrets. And then from there, they're able to friggin' code break it and realize that, hey, we could just shut down the Federal Reserve or screw up the air traffic control system.
Yep. And once they realize what they have, they're like, shut the windows, nobody leave here because people would kill us for this.
Well, that's when Kreese and his CIA skills kicks in. And he's like, because Liz wants to go home. Liz is like, all right, this has all been fun and games. Thanks for the pizza. Thanks for the Scrabble game. I'm out. And he's like, you're not going anywhere.
But he lets his wife and kid go home.
Correct. Right. It's like, I don't want them involved.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
before he says anything, he boots them out the door and he's like, we're not leaving.
Go. Get out of here quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right. They're supposed to, they set up a meet point to meet these 2, Dick and Wally or whatever the other guy's name was.
To hand off the item and to get their $175,000.
But Kreese, as Martin is meeting these guys out in the open, by the way, sees a newspaper that Janik had been killed. Did these guys kill Janik? Were they trying to get this device?
Or did somebody else kill Janik?
Right. Either way, they figure out pretty quickly that they are being scammed.
Right. And Kreese is like, did you even ask for credentials when they first showed up that they were NSA?
Right. They knew who I was.
Yeah. But all these machinations later, of course, the guy that you knew was coming back from the beginning of the movie comes back. It was him. He's the one that wants the black box.
You think they could have just left these guys and just gone to Janik's office and killed him? Yeah.
If they were going to kill him anyway.
Found it. Right. So this is a huge plot, but yeah, now in the federal building that he met them in is now destroyed. Like, how do you plan that out?
Yeah,
it was going to be destroyed the next day. So let's set it up as a fake office. It just sounds like a lot of work for little payoff. You could have just left these guys out of the loop, and except for the fact that I think he's looking for revenge for Martin for leaving him all those years ago.
Yeah, but again, what was he going to do? Get arrested too, just to be simpatico?
Right.
Like just show up, like arrest me too.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So Cosmo, it is eventually revealed that this Ben Kingsley, who is the older version of the guy that got arrested, who suddenly has developed an accent, over the years in prison.
Well, it's a fake Mandarin.
Yeah.
That's
the fake Mandarin, yeah.
Yes.
He has a front. His business he's using a toy company as a front for Playtronics. And who works for Playtronics but Ned Ryerson?
Ned Ryerson
from Groundhog Day. So they focus on this nerdy. I guess he thinks he's really working for a toy company, right? Do they make toys? This company?
I mean, his license plate was 180 IQ.
Yeah.
So if you think you're that smart, right, why would you be working at a toy company?
So they have to use him to get into the building, and in order to do that, they set him up with Mary McDonnell to pretend to be sweet on him to get his password. So they have to get him to say certain words during dinner, recording his voice because it's a voice act. So that's a nice comedic scene.
It is right. She's trying to get him to say that, right. She meets him in a restaurant. And this guy's a creep. You think he's like this mild-mannered milquetoast, but he's all over this woman in this. We're led to believe that it was a computer dating setup. I'm like, Match.com didn't even exist until 1995. Yeah. So who figured out that there's online dating? It had to have been so obscure back then in 92. But so that, again, it's kind of like ahead of its time where you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. But clearly when Cosmo meets these two and he's like, wait a minute, the computer set you up with her? There's no way. Like he immediately is like, all right, something is up. But Ned Ryerson is like, so Doris, because she's using a fake name, would you like to have breakfast with me? Should I call you or nudge you? And I'm like, she's like, check, please. You creep. Hey, diddly do. Werner, by the way, his name is Werner.
Werner? It's Ned.
Werner.
It's Ned.
Yes. Steve Tobolowsky. Ned Ryerson. Yeah.
So now we know it's Cosmo from the beginning of the movie, and this is Ben Kingsley. So he's the big bad here.
And he does have a nice story. He's like, listen, I went to prison. Thanks for leaving me, by the way. I did what I had to do to survive in there. And so I rolled over and I started offering my services to very powerful people. Mm-hmm. And he makes this little speech about, no more rich people, no more poor people. We're going to crash the system.
Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted to do. This is exactly what we wanted.
Yes, exactly. Everything old is new again, by the way. Mm-hmm. But he makes it sound also romantic. Like, yeah, we're going to take down the system. It's like, oh, just like old times. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want any part of it. Thanks.
So it all comes to a head at the end of the movie where Marty's on the roof of the building trying to escape. Cosmo wants him to hand over the answering machine because it's still in the answering machine, the thing, or is it? And in the meantime, Whistler, David Strathairn, the blind member of the team, has to drive the van across the parking lot so Marty can make his way down.
He's trying to, he's in his ear and he's trying to tell him, yep, you're going good. All right, it's going to be a little bit of an incline. And he just like plummets down this hill.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm driving.
But Marty gets away in the van and then leaves Cosmo there with the box. And of course, Cosmo doesn't look at it until they're gone. And
that's always, it's like, what?
Yep.
Well, that's also when he captures Martin in the room. Okay, so go back to Cosmo's office, which is there's a heat sensor. So they decided that, and there's a heat sensor and a motion sensor. So the only way for him to break in and get this thing back is to raise the temperature in the room 98 degrees, so over body heat, so that you can. But he's got to move at a very slow pace. Otherwise he sets off the motion detector. There is a giant fish tank with leopard sharks swimming around. Wouldn't they set off the motion detector? So that was a bit of a when he captures him, and he says, he's got the gun pointed at him. He's like, I can't kill my friend. And then he turns to the henchman and he says, you kill my friend. And then he leaves. Just like you said, he doesn't look in the backpack until after Martin leaves. But you walk out of the building, you don't hear a gunshot. Like, oh, I guess he just took him out. All right. Let's hope he's dead. Off on my day.
And it's not like he's going to go, oh, that Marty. Villain. Oh, that Marty. I guess he got me. And then do the next thing.
Again. Yeah, I'm going out for pizza. You want anything? No.
Marty and the team make it back, and they've got the real, skeleton key in their hand. And who's waiting for them at the apartment but James Earl Jones?
Darth Vader himself.
Yep. Now, he's from the real NSA, he says.
That's what he claims.
And so now they start dealing with him. Like, how can you deal with this guy? He's just like, I'm going to arrest you if you don't give it to me.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I want to. One of them is like, I want to Winnebago. I want to go to Europe. I want the young lady's phone number over there.
That's the only good line Carl has in this whole movie. He's like, the girl with the Uzi over there, can I get her number? She's like, do you want my number? I'm like, how do you? So Armageddon stole this whole shtick, by the way. We don't want to pay taxes ever, But Bishop is just like, just clear my record. And then, of course, Liz is like, I'm good. I'm like, so you went out, what? Get something out of it.
Well, the other guy just wants world peace, right? So he didn't.
Well, yeah, we'll get on that.
Yeah.
Kreese wants a European trip plus Tahiti. Mother's fully equipped Winnebago. Yeah. But you're right. James Earl Jones could have just arrested them all and been like, I got the box. I don't.
But then he didn't. It's revealed that he didn't even give him the thing in the box.
Yeah.
And they're just going to accept that they don't have it?
He didn't look again either. I don't know. But he's told it's only good for spying on U.S. Oh, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Aren't we the U.S.? Well,
There's some questions here that could be asked. But you do get Sidney Poitier uttering, you mother effer, I'll split your head.
He loses his cool once or twice.
Yes, he does.
So
they call me Mr. Motherfucker.
Right, exactly. Like, I would think that the mother was so consumed with all these conspiracy theories. I'd be like, tell me all you know about aliens, or who really shot JFK. Give me the truth.
It's a very convenient, happy ending for everybody. Yes. Leaves you smiling coming out of the theater. Lo and
behold, we got a news report at the end that the Republican National Party is bankrupt.
Yep.
And all these Greenpeace and Black Panthers, all these other side organizations are now super rich.
So he's still doing the thing. So both Cosmo and James Earl Jones are saying to themselves, "That Marty, he got us."
Marty, yeah, it's fun. It's a cool ensemble with these characters. I do, the sequence where they're trying to get Ned Ryerson's character there to say the words needed in order to get access to the doors is fun. And at one point Liz is like, well, that's really hot in here. He goes, hold on, I'll open the window as soon as I'm done pounding these breasts. I mentioned before that there is a serial tie-in. So during the sequence when they're going through what's his name's garbage, they pick up a Captain Crunch box. So Captain Crunch was this guy. This is real life now. This guy, Tom Draper, he discovered that a cereal whistle toy emitted the same tone as the frequency to connect long distance phone calls. And so he would mimic this sound into the keyboard, and it would access like he was one of these guys. He was one of these top secret guys that would break into these facilities and steal money or transfer money to all these. And he ended up getting incarcerated. And he was beat up and eventually killed by the mafia for not divulging all of his little tech secrets. But he was referred to as Captain Crunch. People called him Captain Crunch because of the toy that he used in order to cheat the code.
Now, this is interesting because this scene that you're referring, when they're going through Ned Ryerson's garbage in order to get some info on him.
Just call him Ned Ryerson.
Yeah.
That was this character's name.
So they need to go through his garbage to get any kind of intel on him before they can use him.
Yep.
So they're not even wearing gloves, first of all. They're just going through barehanded.
Correct, yeah.
raw dog in this garbage. And the garbage is like the cleanest garbage you've ever seen. There's no like food slop.
Well, I think that's exactly what Liz says. I understand. I know this guy. That's why she gets slapped with going to meet him on a date.
But
she
judging from
how anal retentive he was.
Judging from the dialogue that you've already shared with him, you'd expect to see at least one used handkerchief in there, maybe. But
maybe burn the evidence. Who knows? We didn't get a really good look at that Captain Crunch box. Who knows what was inside it?
Right. So as you said, this was released in 1992, in September of 92. So it was after the summer season going into the fall movies. Budget of $23 million. It did pretty well. It did $105 million box office. So it was a hit at that time. Most critics seemed to like it. Los Angeles Times said, caper movie with a most pleasant sense of humor, twisting plot in a witty, hang-loose tone.
Hang-loose tone?
Roger Ebert, not so impressed.
Oh, Roger Ebert.
He gave it 2.5 stars out of 4, calling it a sometimes entertaining movie, but thin. Also pointing out its various cliches and tired plot devices. The New York Times really hated it. This was not Maslin, but it was Vincent Canby. The film looked like it had just surfaced after being buried alive for 20 years.
Wow.
He called the plot feeble, and the film is as jokey without being funny, and breathless without creating suspense. It's an all-star gang, but the performances are generally quite bad. He had a bad day.
Okay.
In that theater.
Not like this movie.
No.
Wow.
I thought it was entertaining. You know, there's a charm with 90s movies. You can always tell just from the look of something that it's a 90s movie.
Yeah.
Not just the hair, not just the, the fashion.
No, there's an aesthetic.
There's an aesthetic. There's always a great use of shadow in these types of movies. Like when there's a bad guy involved, he's always in shadow. Ben Kingsley is in shadow a lot. He's coming out of shadows. Right. He's going into shadows. There is an aesthetic that you lost at some point during the 90s. Jurassic Park has it. All the big 90s movies have it. So I enjoyed that. You can't not like Robert Redford.
Even when he showed up in the MCU, you couldn't help but like him.
Yeah.
Even though he was a piece of crap.
And it's a nice, caper. It's a team caper. You definitely get Ocean's 11,
Yeah, exactly.
Owes a lot to this, I think.
Yeah. Well, Ocean's 11 was a remake of a 50s, 60s movie.
Yeah, it was, but still.
But still, it's yeah, exactly. It's the same formula.
Yeah.
Let's get a band of misfits together and watch the shenanigans unfold.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain leaps in logic, especially capers like this, that you have to just kind of go with. But I enjoyed it. It's a movie I've seen numerous times over the years.
And I would go, for buckets out of 5, I would give it 3. 3 buckets from me.
Okay, I'll go 3.5.
3.5.
Yep, I'll go 3.5. Now, I had to rent this from my library.
I did as well. My library actually had the Blu-ray, so it looked really nice.
There is a making of featurette on the disc, and these guys were working on war games at the time. So same kind of mentality, that early computer hacking. There's a through line there.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right. So what else did we do?
Woo! Well, we can either talk about season 2 of Andor or season 2 of Last of Us.
I have not watched Andor yet, but I have watched Last of Us.
Okay. Were you at all familiar with the video game? Are you?
I was not, but so many people are that you couldn't avoid spoilers. Could not avoid spoilers.
I did not see this coming. So season 1 was pretty solid. It was quite solid entertainment. For lack of a better description, it is The Walking Dead.
It is, and that's why I hope it doesn't go in that direction, and I think it is, where you're getting a new crazy group of bad guys every week that comes and challenges.
Because the one thing we learned with The Walking Dead, which is humans are more threatening and dangerous than
but
zombies.
Walking Dead eventually turned into just like a soap opera, where every time Carol comes on screen, you get this sympathetic music playing, and I'm like, my eyes roll immediately. And I'm like, I
Remember
can't
that
watch
time
this
I killed
anymore.
that little kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave up on Walking Dead once. Once, I want to say Carl. No.
Glenn?
No. What's the sheriff?
Rick.
So once they kind of wrote off Rick,
well,
I lost interest on
you
that.
got that moment in Last of Us early on. They lost their Rick.
So this scene in, and again, spoilers, if you have not watched this, it does time jump. So at the end of season 1, we get Pedro Pascal's character and Bella
Ramsey
kind of settling down in this town
where his brother is.
Right, correct. It's a famous town in I think it's like Wyoming. And then it jumps like a year. And you just assume it's gonna, you're reintroduced to the characters, and there's a bit of a rift between the two. Clearly, there's a huge age difference. He saved her. He feels guilty for the fact that so the story arc is the fact that she survived the virus. She has somehow antigens within her that make her immune to these mushroom mutant zombies biting her. And there was a place in season 1 that was going to use that. They were going to harvest that, but it would kill her. But it would potentially save all of humanity. And he opted to kill everyone involved and rescue her. And they go on a run. Oh, Jackson Hole? Is that where they are? Jackson Hole, Wyoming?
Jackson Hole? Cornholio, Wyoming? Is that where they are?
But the big shocker is the fact that episode 2 of this season, they killed Joel. They go full Negan on Glenn. This girl who's seeking revenge. It took her 5 years to track him down.
5 years that we didn't have with Joel as viewers, because there's the jump, as you said.
So they jumped 5 years. Her and her group. She's pissed because it was her dad was one of those doctors that was working on her, and she brutally murders him. And yet the next episode, Ellie and her friend somehow find them. And it's like it took 5 years to find these people, but it only took you like a day and a half to reach Seattle.
Because they didn't even know where to look, though. Because to be fair, when they were looking for Joel, they had no idea. They were just like wandering out in the wilderness.
Yeah, they're just going, you seen Joel?
Yeah.
Joel, I don't know who Joel is. And of course, the only thing that gives him away is the fact that you don't think, you think he's the only Joel on the planet left? What if my name just happened to be Joel? Son of a bitch.
But I know that there's an apocalypse and that there's much fewer people in Seattle. But, again, even for them, they're in Seattle. Like that's like going to New York. Oh, I know that this person is in New York City. And now I'm going to go door to door and ask where they are. Yeah.
So, but anyways, they find him and she brutally murders him. And so now I'm assuming that Ellie's on a tear for revenge.
Yeah. So now Pedro Pascal is no longer on the show. So again, this is very brave of these filmmakers here.
But I guess it's true to the video game.
But they easily could have
people were up in arms when this happened in the second video game that they killed this character.
They could have put it off a little bit, to the end of the season. But obviously, Pedro Pascal has commitments, so he probably had to get out.
He's everywhere. Listen, the guy's everywhere.
Yeah.
He's in every freaking Corona commercial. He's in the Fantastic Four. He's in the MCU. He's in freaking the Star Wars universe. He's over here killing mushroom zombies. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Pascal can't do it all. He can do a lot, but he can't do it all. So, but my take is that it's going to take I would hope there's a drastic change in tone with what's going on. It's just the two girls out now trying to find revenge and kill this girl who killed Joel.
So I think in order for the show to succeed and not just become another Walking Dead, they have to keep the focus on the situation that they're in. Because what The Walking Dead lost was nobody cared anymore of like what was happening or
Right.
why the zombies came or what to do to stop them. They just became ancillary.
Yeah, it's just we just need to survive
Yeah. So,
and kill a zombie every now and again to keep
but
the
I
action
think
going.
I think that they're going in the right direction with that. The first episode was fantastic when they burst out of the ground and
Yes, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, like little baby sea turtles.
yeah.
Just yeah,
But they
just
have to
laying in
keep
wait.
that focus, never lose that, and that was lost in the
Yeah.
Walking Dead.
So we'll see. Best episode 3's tonight.
Yeah,
So I will say this about Andor. You did watch season 1, correct?
I did.
I will tell you. So the season 2 just dropped last week. They dropped first 3 episodes. This week they dropped another 3 episodes. So there's already 6 episodes out there.
Wow,
I will tell you, it is fantastic.
better than season 1.
I'm really liking this. There's a lot more to pay attention to because it's almost like Diego Luna's character Andor himself is taking a bit of a backseat. There's a lot of machinations going on with Mon Mothma and some of these other characters, and I will say they are digging into the prequel stuff and showing you some of those characters.
Okay,
Bringing them into the fore. Even Rogue One. So it's very well done. It's nice to look at, gorgeous to look at. The world building is just exquisite. So I'm digging it.
Oh, I finished Daredevil. Have you finished Daredevil?
I have not even watched past the first 20 minutes. So that's on my list.
The first 2 or 3 episodes are difficult to get through because Matt Murdock is denying Daredevil. He
that's
says
the whole
he's not
story
going to be
arc of
Daredevil
Born Again.
anymore.
Right.
But yeah, that turns around rather quickly and suddenly.
I was kind of turned off when I watched, and I don't know if it's because that Netflix version was so dark and gritty that, we talk aesthetics, and I just like it's definitely leaning more, it's the MCU. So you got the brighter clothes, the costumes and stuff, and it just something seemed off about it. So I said I'm not going to walk.
By the end of it,
away.
They're actually trying, I think, because they're dropping F-bombs left and right as the show goes on, and it gets pretty actually gory by the end of the.
All right, so they are leaning into the.
I was shocked that they did what they did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that was the whole point of the Netflix shows was that they could have, do something slightly different than what's being portrayed in the MCU on screen.
Yeah. And especially after what happens in Born Again, a lot of people online are saying, "Well, why didn't they even attempt to mention Mayor Fisk or anything that happened in Daredevil? Because that's all New York based."
Okay. No.
Yeah, and what does Mayor Fisk think about the Thunderbolts now as he's trying to take vigilantes off the streets? And
I guess we'll find out. I mean, those guys like us, those are fun little Easter eggs, and to other people, they're just annoyances that, now I got to friggin' watch a 12-hour show in order to find out what they're talking about. Well, no, you don't. Yeah. Anyways, so that is, what else did you do? Is there anything else that you watched?
Well, the Daredevil took up a lot of my time, so I watched all that through.
So how many episodes are there?
I think there's 9, I want to say.
Are they hour long?
They're between 30 to 45 minutes each.
Okay. Just answer me this. You can just nod your head. You don't have to say yes or no. Punisher?
Yes, I think everybody.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
Well, I didn't know. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. He comes in pretty quickly after you stopped watching. So.
Well, I did see Bullseye.
But the thing is that when you go onto Disney Plus to hit the next episode, there's a photo of the Punisher right there. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So it's no secret.
Very cool. So what are we doing next episode? I think we're trying something a little different here.
Yes. Although this is going into 5 bucket territory, I'm sure.
But it may be a 10 bucket.
Yeah.
Maybe a 2 for a year.
We're doing a double. a movie unbelievably we never have, and its sequel.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's been on my list, but yeah, we're talking Terminator, The Terminator, and Terminator T2.
Yes. T1, T2.
T1, T2. Should we push our luck and go T3?
No, I think this is enough.
And a certain charm, T3.
It did.
But no, we're talking James Cameron, man. He owns this. Yeah, you're talking potential 5 buckets right here.
So it'll be a lot to unpack. Arnold in his career-defining role.
Yeah, which no one wanted him to do. They told him it was a career-killing decision to play a robot. And yet, if you watch his performance, he kills it. I still to this day try to do that head turn while he's driving in the car and not move your eyes while that music is playing. Yeah. Solid entertainment right there.
Give me your clothes.
All of them. Bill
Paxton. Yeah.
Bill Paxton with the
Game
the
over,
mohawk.
man. Game over.
Wrong movie. See, we should have done that. We should have done Aliens. We've done those separately though. So this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I do have the T2. I believe my DVD is a special edition, but I might have to see what the library has available.
Yeah, I'm sure that they hopefully have the Blu-ray at mine, so I'm going to be looking for it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it probably is a 2-disc set. I would think. Yeah. So there you go. So that is going to be next episode.
All right, sounds good.
Yes, I'm very excited, and this was get out there and go support Thunderbolts before Fantastic Four drops.
Yes, please do yourself a favor.
It's a nice little teaser leading into Phase 6. Yeah, it's a surprise. It was a very pleasant surprise.
Yep, it'll restore your faith if it's gone in the MCU.
That's high praise. Oh boy, oh boy. Someone's gonna call us going, "Oh, my faith was restored."
It didn't restore my faith.
And I hope everyone had a fantastic May the 4th. So until next time, thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Bye. Recording has stopped.
If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand. My name is Yelena. My voice is my passport. That was the worst Russian accent ever, by the way.